Hey everyone, I wanted to go over the new and extremely exciting news that we have for Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak's 4th free title update, specifically on the Nintendo Switch and PC via Steam, where I'm going to be discussing the 3 brand new secret armor sets that are going to be part of this brand new wave of event quests. If you didn't catch one of my videos yesterday, I discussed for PlayStation, Xbox, and PC Windows players when Sunbreak is set to release. I'm going to be leaving a link in the description below for you guys to check that out, since the release date is actually going to be dropping sooner than we would have expected. But today we're going to be focusing more on the Nintendo Switch and PC Steam version of the game, since the 4th free title update is now live, and part of this brand new set of event quests that we are getting for this version of this update is pretty much 3 brand new armor sets. Now, one of them was originally teased heading into the actual digital presentation that we got last week, and that is the first armor set that I want to speak to, and that would be the Reflect armor set. This one originally appeared in Monster Hunter Frontiers as part of the G7 update. So this was one of the first early update armors, if you want to consider it that way, that was part of that specific set. You also were pinned to fight against a brand new ancient dragon called Haldmerg, which has not obviously been making his way out of Frontiers just yet. So it would be interesting to see if that monster eventually makes its way out of Frontiers. It does seem very similar to like Crimson Glow Valstrax. If you look them up, you should be able to see exactly what I mean. But originally when this armor was introduced, it was part of the event to kind of showcase that brand new Elder Dragon. And what we ended up seeing before the presentation was the developers just kind of tease an image from the backside of both male and female armor sets. But eventually, of course, throughout the presentation, we ended up seeing the front side of it. You should be seeing a couple of clips there, a couple of images. And then the direct comparison of what this armor used to look like back in Frontiers. Of course, the color-coded, look of it, it seems a little more dim, a little bit more darker back in Frontiers, but that was just the way that that game looked. Rise and Sunbreak look more sharper, more contrasting, brighter color tones and stuff like that, so it is what it is. Now, as of right now, we do know this armor set will be dropping in early March. That is the estimate where we're looking at it. It will be part of an event quest, which I'm going to be going over in a separate video, every single event quest of this 4th free title update. We just got the first one last week. We're going to be talking about all the event quests very soon. But this one is going to be part of an event quest called Knights Show Your Valiance. And this one is going to be putting you up against a Gold Rathian in the arena. It's a 100% small crown guaranteed kind of event quest where you're pretty much looking for a small crown. You're going to get it through this event quest for a Gold Rathian. But there will be invading monsters in the arena. So that means Rathian, Nargacuga, Astalos, and Garangolm could potentially appear in the arena as kind of like disruptors, if you will. And one of the items that you're going to be looking for in that quest is called Treasure Foreign Drawings. This is a paper that is going to basically have the word scribbled with obscure drawings and foreign words. That the only word you understand is called Reflect. So that is the items that you're going to need to be able to craft that specific armor set. Now, of course, as you guys know, I like to source everything, so I'm going to be leaving a link in the description below for pretty much where all this information is being gathered from. But of course, you should already know that part of it, as one of the images shown, is from Kiriniko itself. Now, the next armor set that I want to speak to is part of another Frontiers armor set. So pretty much the interesting part here is that all 3 armor sets are going to be part of this specific update all came from Frontiers. This one was a G9 Frontiers armor set that was introduced, and this one is called Marine. Now, the interesting part is as well is that they're all layer armor sets here in Sunbreak, but back in Frontiers, they actually had like stats. And specifically, the next one that I'm going to talk about, that one had like a really good armor set, like when it comes to stats. But when it comes to the Marine armor set, this one was introduced as part of G9. And I saw a lot of people being extremely excited that we are getting this armor set because it was a little bit of a fan favorite specifically for the males. It had a little bit of a Cavaliers look. If you know anything about the Cavaliers, they are part of the Sunbreak. We are going to be talking about what they are teasing in an upcoming video as well. So certainly I want to get into that later on. But essentially this armor set, again, with the color tones and the palettes, it was a little bit dim back in Frontiers, but now it looks a little bit sharper, a little bit brighter when you actually look at it in direct contrast in the way that it looks in Sunbreak. Now, the interesting part here is for this one, there's going to be an event quest called Get Off My Stage. We don't necessarily know if this one is going to be late March event quest. That is what we are expecting at the very least. This one is going to be putting you up against a Mitsuzune and an Aurora Somnicanth in the Frost Islands. And here, you're going to be able to get an item called the Coastal Foreign Drawings. And that one is pretty much going to be the item that you're going to need 5 of to be able to craft it. It says the paper scribbled with some obscure drawings and foreign words. Only a single word is legible, marine. And that is pretty much the armor set that you're going to be getting. Now, again, these are layered armor sets. These do not come with stats or anything like that. Palicos and Palamutes excluded as well. They're not getting an equivalent. There will be a Palico and Palamute layered armor that I do want to discuss in a separate video, only because the potential of there being more Palico and Palamute armor sets is interesting, but I'm not necessarily sure if they don't come with stats. I'm not sure players will be all too excited to be able to get their hands on anything like that. Now, the last final and event quest that we are going to be covering specifically when it comes to armor sets that we're getting is probably the more popular one, because this one in Frontiers, this one's G11, this one ended up getting its very own like stats. And it was an extremely popular set because it was a made outfit type of armor set. So this one was not teased by Capcom. They just showed it very quickly in the presentation itself. And it was kind of like a really tough armor to get originally when it was introduced. I think they made it available through multiple events subsequently afterwards. And I believe in Double G or GX or something, they made it really easy to get for players. But by then it was kind of like lost its luster. Other armor sets kind of become a little bit more popular by that point. But this one was popular when it originally came out. Now, again, if you look at the contrasting images for the way that it looked back in Frontiers to the way that it now looks in Sunbreak, you're still dealing with the muted colors of just the color palette of that game. That is just how the way it was. But in Sunbreak, of course, it looks a little bit more attractive. And the event quest you're going to be looking for here is called Food Fight. Now, this is going to be one of the last event quests that we do end up getting because you're going to be fighting in the lava caverns against the Rajang and the Magna Malo, and you're going to be looking for an item called Noble Foreign Drawings. This paper is scribbled with some obscure drawings and foreign words. Only a single word is legible, Lenigan, and that is the name of this specific armor set. So that is pretty much what we are looking at here. Now, once again, this is just layered armor sets. None of these will have their very own stats. I think it's a little bit disappointing that they're not even willing to go that extra mile to make, I guess, some sort of equivalent armor skills. Because remember, in Frontiers, you had a lot of skills that were not, and talents that were not, they will not necessarily translate to the way Rise or Sunbreak is broken down. A lot of the skills and talents were kind of like merged together in subsequent games since Frontiers. You're looking at Generations Ultimate doing some of that for Double Cross. Certainly World did a lot of merging for skills and talents. And then now Rise and Sunbreak took that to another level. And it seems like now in Sunbreak, and specifically in Sunbreak, I should say, they are targeting new skills only being tied to brand new armor sets. And I'm not necessarily sure that they are willing to give brand new skills, maybe skills that might be even more broken when they're not specifically tied to a monster, kind of like a new Risen or Volcano or something like that, a new monster being introduced. And they're a little bit hesitant in adding new skills to armors that were part of an event from a previous game. That seems to me the reason why they're not giving us an actual armor version of this, and it's just a layer armor version. Therefore is only really tied to fashion hunters. Fashion hunters are really happy to see brand new armor sets being part of each brand new update, but players who actually want new weapons, new armors and stuff like that, we are not getting that. We're actually just getting them directly from the new monsters, which is all well and good, but I think a little bit of the drawback is the fact that each new armor set is tied to new skills, and they're not willing to give us maybe a skill that wouldn't be as or in the same level as a Risen or a new monster being introduced, which of course usually has been Elder Dragons at this point, that wouldn't necessarily catch up or be on that same tier of damage. because realistically speaking, none of these armor sets, you know, while they were originally introduced for, you know, legendary and elder dragons back then, those monsters are not being introduced here, so therefore they're not willing to tie them to, you know, those specific skills. That is at the very least my theory on this. I'm not necessarily sure what their thinking is. Maybe in a new developer interview, which there are a couple of new ones since the 4th free title update came out. I'm going to be trying to work on some translations for those developer interviews, but since I'm so focused right now working on the mining and trying to make sure I get everything right and accurate, you know, I'm a one-person team, so therefore it does take me a little bit of time to be able to get all this information out there. So that's pretty much all the information that I have for you guys today. These are the 3 brand new armor sets that we are getting for this 4th free title update, and in one of my upcoming videos I'm going to be talking about every single event quest. In one of the following videos after that, I'm going to be talking about pretty much all the new monsters, the new arena that we are expecting, a couple of brand new weapon balances, a couple of new things as well that I haven't necessarily covered as part of the mining, and then subsequently I'm going to start talking about those developer interviews, which I still have to, once again, manually translate, and I'm a one-person team, therefore it may not take me, you know, I may not be as fast as other channels, but therefore I also try to make sure I get everything accurately as best as possible. If you're brand new to my channel, though, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, hit the bell to receive notifications when the videos go up, and as always, thank you so much for watching. See ya.